Hello, I'll be presenting my scrapbook today. I thought this video format would convey all the interactable elements much better compared to the scans that I provided in my submission. So yeah, so let me grab the scrapbook. Yeah, it's huge. I did not anticipate this happening with it, and I still have so many pages left of it. So yeah, well, it's never gonna close ever again. But you know, that's fine. It's okay. It's fine. So, to begin, this was kind of like my ground zero, this page. I put my train tickets in there because I wanted a place to put them. And I just wrote Siena because that's one of the places we took the train to. And this was just me experimenting with how to, I guess, lay out paper, maybe work with like color and line art, and just to like get a feel for this. I did buy this paper over there in Italy, and I really like it. The colors are very nice and they work together pretty well, so that became sort of my like palette to work with. So the color palette is generally yellows and blues, largely because those were the colors I packed on my person. And then I also used the colored paper, which had more variation in colors, which complemented the markers I had on hand. There it is. Whoop. Here's the pad. It has a little plant on top of it. It's pretty simple. And it comes in the colors of beige, this nice cobalt blue, what's more faded than cobalt, this light flesh color, this really saturated yellow, this minty green, and then this very vibrant red. And I like these colors a lot together, so I used them. So the first page, I have my arrival. I wrote down some things here and there to like my top 3 things. I wrote down my top 3 things to convey what I was feeling or like my state at this given moment. I drew myself very agitated, tired, and stinky with my luggage. I drew this taxi over here with the cat smoking. The cat was not there, but the taxi driver was this older man who was just a chronic smoker, so I drew this to remind myself of that. And then the sun, it was very sunny over there, very hot, very sunny. The sun will come back. These photos, I found creative ways to like crop these photos into here because this sketchbook is pretty small. The size of the photos were around the same size of this pad, so I had to like get creative with how I presented these photos. My next spread, we have on a bridge, I drew the Ponte Vecchio right here, and I drew these little people on top of this like cutout sheet of paper on top to represent water. I saw these people rowing their like canoes nearby, and I thought that was really interesting. Here's an image that I chose from the bridge that I took. It's quite nice. I drew myself over here with like water droplets to emphasize how hot it is. It's so hot. Down here underneath, I was exploring how to like, I guess, write secret messages or like put more interest underneath like these photos that flap like this. So I just did this fat squirrel. So yeah, this was like my creative way of actually like putting in a photo in there, because the way I laid this out didn't really give room for a photo, so I just made this flap for it. And I kind of did the same thing over here. So it says, "Open me, I'm worth it." Here's the photo. This was after climbing after our little tour that our lovely professors put us on. And I got this really nice image of the city from like a nice viewpoint at sunset, yeah. Here, exhausted me, and then I cut out paper and colored this in to make it look like stairs. Some foliage, and then cat. I put a lot of cats here because I like cats. On this one, in a garden, I specifically chose to represent the moment where I went to this rose garden. They had a lot of different varieties of roses. So this photo, flip it open. This is just like an image I took from there. This one is the in a crowd prompt. I drew these, I colored in these blocks of, I put in these blocks of color, and I also cut out pieces of paper to represent the tall buildings there. And I drew myself within a crowd. Here's a speech bubble of me not very happy. It's very crowded over there. I took this image of one of the many crowds I was in. Very lovely. Over here we have a quiet street. I chose this photo because very quiet. And then when you flip it up, you have me tiny in a very quiet street. So this is actually not a meal that I made. I completely forgot to take a photo of like the pasta that I made over there. I boiled some pasta and then I mixed it around with some pesto. And that was like my dinner for a lot of the journey. This is something actually my father made with pasta that I brought from Florence. And he made it with Alfredo, some, I think, shrimp and broccoli. It was really good. And then, yeah, underneath, little me with my pesto pasta. The pasta that I used looked like little worms or caterpillars, so I drew this caterpillar in the same color as the pasta here. And yeah, for this, I laid out lots of sheets of paper, cut paper, on top of each other. Finding shade. This one, I did the same thing, but for like the shade part, or like to convey a shadow, I used this blue next to this building to convey a shadow being casted. But the sun here, because of course with shade there is sun, so I put this lovely sun there with a kitty cat in the window. And with this, I was like, that would be an interesting way to like put a photo in, kind of like fold it closed in the way that windows were over there. So you can open it and close it like those windows, and it reveals an image. This was in a garden where, I think this was the garden that Jesse took us on, and there was a lot of shade, which was lovely. So I used one of the images from there to use for this prompt. Well, for this, I cut out a bunch of like both paper and photos of like the products that I bought over there. So I bought, what was this, baking soda to like get out oil stains off my clothes. This was the pasta and pesto that I bought. Water, of course, and spices. This was a sad little carton of bread. And then bolacet. Then here I have some plums. I have pesto, pasta, of course, soda pop, yogurt, Greek yogurt. So yummy. This was like my breakfast every single day. I wrote down this list of like the stuff that I bought. And here's me carrying my bag of groceries with a sun. So next, we have this page, more gelato. I made this cute little gelato character with cut paper and some line art. I took this photo of the first gelato I had over there. This was like the day of arrival, and me and a couple of peers just wanted to walk around, so we found this gelato place. This was really good. It was passion fruit. Lovely. It was a bit acidic though. Underneath here, this is a little pocket where I put my, I guess, written work for the scrapbook, and I divided it up into 3 parts, folded them into these little envelopes, and then stamped them, sealed, so I could, like, I guess an aesthetically pleasing way of presenting written work. Yeah. Underneath, it's me eating gelato, thanking my professors, and then this little ranking of like my favorite flavors that I had over there. Now I'm gonna open this to like present. It's just one of my written works. I will post this with my, can I break it? There we go. This wax, there we go. So you break it, once it's open, you can open it up, and it has my written prompt. So yeah, I'm not gonna read this out loud just because it will be with the submission, but if you want to read that, you can read it like this. And I drew something on the bottom with the, as it relates to the written things on top. But yeah. And then you can close it again. Oop. And cute little wax seal and put it back in the bucket. So yeah, battle ready. I did the similar idea with like the opening window photo, but I chose to do these like really sharp edges as I feel that conveys the theme pretty well. And you open it up and I found this painting of war, so lovely. I drew a little froggy with a needle preparing to fight. I drew these, well, I cut out and drew these, I think they were ivory. These blades I found in a museum, they were the handles were engraved with like engraved ivory. Fallen, I just decided to draw a Lucifer over here because the image I chose was a Lucifer because that fit in theme with Fallen. I drew these like in green to convey like icy wind, since that's what it was doing down in the depths of Inferno. And then over here I drew myself just falling. But yeah. And then Triumphant, I chose this like statue of David because it was after his triumphant victory. I drew and cut it out. I cut and drew these like stones and slingshot as it relates to the image. And I drew this cat as like a little king because I thought that was cute. And then I drew myself with a little banner. Come Hither. I chose this painting I found at the Uffizi, and it's of a Madonna with child. I did sort of like a bug theme on this page just because of the small things prompt. I thought that would be fun to like put in there. So these images were from the Bargello Museum, and it was of, I think, a compass or a watch and this beautiful comb. And I thought they were nice. They were pretty small and dainty, so I put them in small things. Transcendent, I chose this other Madonna with child, and it looked very on theme, so I chose it. I drew myself as like a little angel and this cat as an angel because, of course, I love cats. And then underneath, you can flip this open, and it has sort of like, I guess, a child or an angel with wings. I more so intended these to be clouds, but they also kind of look like wings. And then here's the start of the Dante series. So Dante. So for this section, I drew Dante, Beatrice, and Virgil as common birds found in Florence. So Dante is a blackbird, Beatrice is a pigeon, and then you will see Virgil after this page. So for Dante is Not Happy, I chose the statue in Florence because the city rejected him, sort of like outcasted and exiled him, and then proceeded to like claim him once his like fame became renowned. So yeah. And then Dante is Pleased, I chose his grave in Ravenna because it was sort of the city that like took him in after his exile. I wrote down a quote from the Inferno that conveyed Dante is pleased. So this one is about him being included with the other great poets. Virgil is over here. I forgot what type of bird I drew him as, but like it was another common bird over there. Over here, Dante told you so. I chose his grave because it says he is the greatest poet. So yeah. And of course, him being a little smug and laughing. Down here, I put him with other great poets and just in silhouette though. Okay. Over here, Dante was here. I chose this church in Ravenna because he would have been able to see this mosaic since it would have been around during his time. And then I did these stylized versions of him using like marker and paper to convey the sort of medium the mosaic was made out of, because they're all made of, the form is made up of individual parts. And then here, since Dante was here, I left him making his mark. So of course. So for Dante and pop culture, I drew him in different like iterations, slightly altering like form and details from the initial Dante that I drew as a way to convey sort of pop culture and like iterating upon like an original piece. And then over here I drew him in different styles, so like as Peter Griffin a Mario and then some like anime character. But yeah, and then for the image I chose this like little window piece from Ravenna. Over here, Dante in Love, of course I had to do the church he intended with Beatrice. I drew a rose over here to reference the Paradiso, and of course a heart because love. So for the Dante at War prompt, I chose this image of the statue of him in Santa Croce in front of the Basilica because of the lions and the eagle. I thought that was very imperial, and then I cut this out like this to even convey sort of like the rigidness and sharpness and like leading lines of like agency, if that makes sense. I did not put anything back here. Oh, I should have, but whatever. There's more here. I drew on top of this horse, and I drew like symbols of the, I think, Guelphs? Yes, the Guelphs. Right, and then here is the story, or the continuation of my written piece. I'm gonna crack this wax. Actually, could I do this? Yes. Ooh, wait. Uh-oh. Oh, well, that works. So for this one, number 2, wrote it again. Oop, that's why. Okay. Wrote it again, and then I drew something to reference the story. But yeah, it's really cute. So we're gonna put it back in our little folder. Okay, next. Uh-oh, there we go. So here we have towers, and flowers. Towers. I chose this image that I took while on top of the Duomo. I think this is the bell tower, and then overlooking the city, you can see another tower over there. I laid out some paper with the towers, and I took the sky from this photo and put it up here since the towers were up here. Flowers. With our visit in the garden with Jessie, I drew a bunch of flowers that were there, so hydrangeas, roses, daisies. I drew all of them, and then I took this image of a hydrangea, and I split it up into like multiple segments and like adjusted them so that they would not only fit on this page but also look interesting. So for Monument on Crumbling, I made a silhouette of the Duomo and laid out a bunch of fun little paper and did some fun little things like the spiral and the stars, the snake, these pillars, these balls. The images are taken from the same building, so this is the front, of course, and then this was in the catacombs underneath. Well, next, cobblestones and enormous. So cobblestones, I found this, I think this was some sort of building dedicated to San Lorenzo. So I took this image and put it there. And then the only reason I chose this image in the first place because I had really pronounced photos of the cobblestones there. Of course, I did a similar thing, made buildings out of cut paper and whatnot. Over here, enormous, I chose this like replica of the Statue of David because there are a lot of enormous features about that statue. And then I put these butterflies hiding underneath that you can lift up to see to see little messages that I wrote. So yeah. But yeah, of course a peach, like of course. And yeah. Oh, this I added in just to have like more interactable elements. It's just a little chain of paper. It's cute. So here is the Unnoticed series, and the first image I chose was this floor from the cathedral in Siena. I thought it was so beautiful because it was in this sort of like diamond tile pattern with a bunch of moons in the center, and this blue in the negative space was just so gorgeous. I thought it was beautiful. I chose this because the ceiling of that building was a lot more extravagant, and I feel like people were mostly looking up compared to down, so I wanted to give some love to the floor here. And I drew me in a little like wizard's outfit or whatever. Drew a moon, some stars, very cute. This was from the Uffizi. I found these wall decorations in there with these spirals and these leaves, and I thought they were so beautiful. Nobody was paying attention to that because they were looking at like fine art, of course, but I wanted to like give some love to this because of how much I love this, like, these forms. Here, this other I noticed, this image was taken from an alleyway with very little people, not a lot of traffic, which was interesting, and it stood out to me a lot because of I've never seen graffiti in the city that looked like this, and I really appreciated it. I love the little cats and the fish bones, this frog lizard thing, so cute. And so I just drew a bunch of cats in that style. And I thought it was cute. So for beginnings, I chose to represent the Mars statue the building where the Mars statue used to be. And yeah, I just chose it. It's in front of the Ponte Vecchio. And I cut it up to kind of make it more dynamic, I suppose. Here up top, I have lightning bolts because, of course, Mars and not their lightning bolts, but like penchant for violence, and I associate that with lightning bolts. So I chose to represent Mars through this red circle because of the planet Mars. It's a red circle, but also I like to, I guess, give gods sort of like a faceless look as a way to kind of convey them as more of like a concept rather than like an actual living being. So yeah, and of course I drew the horse because Mars was on a horse. Yeah. Down here, I actually drew the 2 zodiac signs who in astrology are at home with like the planet Mars, because each planet is represented by a zodiac sign, and these two are often like associated with the planet Mars. So it's Aries, so I drew a little goat, and then Scorpio, which I drew a little scorpion. Yeah. So for the Guelph's Triumph prompt, I chose this image of the front of the Bargello because it was originally a building for like a Ghibelline building, but then it was taken down and the Burks were used by the Guelphs to make a, I guess, like people's government building. There it is. And I thought, well, that's fitting. I cut out some paper to use as bricks to like emphasize the dismantling of the original building to create this one. The colors are also like based on like Guelph and Ghibelline colors, so like the yellow bricks, yellow for Ghibellines, and then I put some red in there just because to add the touch of the Guelphs in there. There it is. For the Ghibellines Triumph, I used this the monument from Siena, since that was there in remembrance of their victory. I drew this like sort of field of crop because this was in a crop field, and then this hill because we had to climb a hill to get to the monument. Exile for the Guelphs, I chose to do this like flower patch in Siena because Dante was a Guelph and he was in exile, so I was like, well, that's fitting. So I drew a bunch of flowers and some foliage, and I cut this up to make it look sort of fragmented. It's kind of somber in a way. And then Exile for the Ghibellines, I drew, I think, the front of the cathedral in not Siena. No, it was Siena, yeah. For the image, I chose the wall surrounding Florence because the Ghibellines were pushed out of, Florence. And this is where I put my last written piece. Woo! So let's break this wax, and hopefully it comes out clean this time. Goodness. I did see in Florence that they had wax that you could buy with like stamps. I already had one at home, so I didn't buy one over there, and I was kind of hoping to buy a new head for my stamp. But I didn't see a place where they just sold heads and not like the entire kit, which is unfortunate. But regardless, here's the little piece. So that's the last thing. Of course, a new image to associate with the the written work. Yeah, it's so cute. Okay. Now if it will fit back in there. Okay. Then finally, conflict. So conflict between the white and black Guelphs. I chose to do like sort of a chest theme because typically they come in black and white colors. This is also from the Bargello, specifically the place where the black Guelphs were pronouncing their sentences to the white Guelphs. I made this cute little booklet of very legal sentences. So if you see, I just wrote down some lovely, lovely words, some very devious figures in the book. But yeah. And then that's the end of like the formal scrapbook assignment. I did make other pages of sort of things that I bought or just things I wanted to preserve in my sketchbook. So here were like creative projects that I did over there besides this scrapbook. So I took images of my hat that I made over there. It was this little star hat. I can actually bring it out. So here's the hat. It's shaped like a star and it's all like a continuous piece. I used one skein of yarn from this lovely little shop in Florence. The yarn is locally sourced in Italy, I think, and it is some nice premium wool. Oh, but yeah, it's so cute. The yarn itself is also right here in this photo. I made this with yarn sourced from a different shop, and I thought it was so lovely. The base of it is like this blend of cotton, wool, and I think llama fur. And then I stringed it together with this mohair. I don't know if you can see it, but that fuzz is from the mohair being threaded with the yarn, the wool blend. But yeah, so gorgeous. Cannot wait for winter to arrive so I can wear this. In here, I put the like packaging for the ski. So this was the mohair I used. This was the yarn I used for the hat. This was for the hat, and then these two were used for the sweater vest. Very soft. Oh, gorgeous. And then in the front, I made a bunch of origami over there and just left it around the city. These were the two that I decided to keep and bring home with me. I folded this cat and this heart, and I used the paper from the pad that I bought over there for it. So cute. Over here, this was just like a big collection of like the purchases or like things that I could actually put inside a pocket. That's that. Here, this is the packaging where my lovely professors gifted me a little notebook. So I absolutely adore this notebook. It is gorgeous. It's bound together with this marbled paper, which is beautiful. And I wrote some things inside it. Just lovely. It's quite nice. Thank you, professors. Okay. And then in here, I put a bunch of my museum tickets that I saved or were given to me. So yeah, I just keep them in there. Really cute. And I thought that was a nice use for this like bag that I liked. I love this like the sticker of a wax seal. And then this is just a bunch of like miscellaneous stuff, mostly just receipts that I did not want to part with because of sentimental value. But yeah, I might do something with them. I just took this bag I got from over there and just pasted it into my sketchbook to preserve my written things, my little receipts and money that I spent. Oh God. Yeah, that's the end of my little spiel. I really like how my scrapbook turned out. Oh, it's so nice. I really like especially this little idea I had where I put my written pieces in little envelopes and just keep them in there. It's so cute. Yeah. That's the end. My big till next time, guys. This is it's like 50 minutes of footage. Yeah.